Hello everyone, I have an amazing video for you. It is 10 free knitting patterns, but it's more specific. It is for stranded cardigans only. A few more things. I have noticed that sometimes the pattern is classified as free, but when you go to click the free Ravelry or something like that link, direct you to the designer website, and over there the pattern is paid for pattern. So if you're browsing through, you might notice something like that on Ravelry in regards cardigan stranded color work, just saying. But I tried to do my best, and I tried to check those links, and I hope all of those that I'm showing you now, they are for free. So I also specify them from fingering yarn to a bulky yarn. So let me show you, and let me show you what I like. And I found that they are quite amazing and specific. Amazing. And also what I was looking at, I was looking also at the projects, so other people knitted, because you know, designers can design stuff and they can take beautiful photos, but when you're knitting something, it may not be as beautiful as you would want to. So I wanted to see if people actually recreate the design themselves, and you might be interested to definitely check the links down below. I have them numbered from 1 till 10. I have written down what kind of yarn, what kind of gauge, and were they knitted up, bottom up, or top down. Sometimes the description does not say that on Ravelry, but what I did, I opened the photo and I zoomed it up, and by the V stitches I would know how direction of knitting was going, either from bottom up, some from the waist up, or you knitting from the neck down, so top down. Okay, let's start. On the screen, number 1, Fredrika Cardigan, and as you can see, it is stunning. It is knitted flat, I think that's how the abbreviations say, double check me over here, and I'm not sure of any of those patterns are sticked. So what I'm saying, that they're knitted in the round, and then at the end the top center is cut off with scissors, obviously secured before, and then button band is knitted. So I think they're not, but just double check that. And what struck me, and the most you probably noticed with the theme over here, is the neutral foresty brownish colors. So obviously, if I'm telling straight away, if the knitting pattern has those kind of colors in it, the stranded color, it kind of gets to me more, and that's why I may be, you know, putting some other designs on the side because of that, which doesn't say that they're not amazing. They are, so definitely check them out too. So browse also, but I'm just giving you hints. So what can you tell me with this beautiful design? It is fingering weight yarn, and they call for 30 stitches. So when I'm thinking of that is when I'm knitting socks, I'm getting 32 stitches on 2.25mm knitting needles, so US size 1. So I presume with my thing, I would go with maybe 2.5 to get that 30 stitches gauge with the fingering weight yarn. That would be my train of thought when I'm thinking of knitting this pattern. It's lovely, isn't it? I would just literally take exactly the same colors and knit them exactly the same. And suggested yarn to knit this sweater, it's Novita Venya. I've never seen that before. Interested? You know, I would need to click maybe one day and browse it through. Have you knitted with it? So number 1 is knitted bottom up. Okay. And also the sizing for this sweater, you can have it from extra small to double extra large. So I think that's quite interesting. Double check the sizing. Number 2, as you can see, this is Pelle the hedgehog. Beautiful. I think it's so cute. It is fingering weight yarn, and they call over here for 27 stitches. So to knit this one, let me think, 32 stitches I'm getting on US size 1. So 30, 1.5, 28, US size 2, which will be equivalent for 2.75mm for me. I think I would kind of attempt to do that. Recommended yarn, recommended needles as it's 2.5 and 3mm. So I'm just saying the sizing over here is from 2 to 12 years old. So obviously it's not for adults. However, if you are an advanced knitter, you might actually do some math and make it bigger if you love hedgehogs. And recommended yarn is Sandnes Garn. And you can have Mandarin Petite, Sisu, Mini Alpaca, Mini Duet, Alpaca Silk, and Tin Merino. I think that's actually how many 6 types of fingering they have. So beautiful pattern. Check out the yarns. Never have a chance to knit with these. Number 2 is knitted bottom up. Number 3, Rav, I think that's how I would say it. We're moving to the sport weight. Obviously, to receive that sport weight in this pattern, the designer mixed 2 strands, and the person is mixing lace twice to get the sport. And the desired stitches is 23 stitches, which I would go with 3.5 millimeters, which is US size 4. I'm guessing. I hope I'm guessing right. Normally I would get 24 stitches. When 23, you know, it's not that bad, and you know, you don't have to. Well, do whatever you want. I don't really mind too much if it's fingering weight yarn with some little tiny stitches. If you have 1 or 2 less or more, may not be as a big difference. However, are we going to the bulkier yarn? It matters. So even 1 stitch will matter then. So it's very beginner friendly from perspective of the gauge and getting the sizing. However, for the length of knitting the sweater, it's not so beginner friendly because it will take you a longer time. However, you may have a very good knitter, a very fast knitter, and like me now don't have a time. It will take me probably as long as a beginner who has time to knit. Number 3 is knitted top down. And I love it. Don't you like it? I think it's really cool. And what the designer over here, like I mentioned that they mix 2 yarns. One is lace, one is another one lace. And you will wonder why. This is more about the blend that the yarn have. So one of those yarns contains mohair. So it's kind of more fluffy looking. But fluffy and looking in the capital letters, because mohair might be very itchy. I'm knitting now with mohair and I'm just wondering, will it, first time mixing fingering with lace, and lace is mohair with silk. So I'm just hoping that after washing it will soften up a little bit. So if you've knitted with those mixtures before, write down below. I would be interested to know, because it looks amazing on the photos when you wearing a cloud of puffiness, let's say that way. Not a puffiness from the sleeves, but puffiness from the yarn itself. Oh, so nice. And it's really nice in it too, but to wear it, I'm knitting very fitted garment. I'm just going with a hint, with whatever comes to my mind. And yeah, I feel it. Let me tell you. And I love the colors. This mustard, and you may think it's a white, but it's slight hint of pink. And recommended yarn is Filcolana Tilia. I hope I'm saying it right. And the size we have small, medium, large, and extra large. Let's move on to number 4. So number 4 is 265.06 Helmønstra Jakke, I think, and it is sport weight yarn, so you're just getting, there's no mixture. We have 26 stitches, so like I said, 24 I'm getting on 3.5. To get 26 I would have to narrow down to maybe 325 or maybe 3 millimeters. So ooh, we'll be going over here. And this pattern, this is number 4, is knitted bottom up. So just I'll let you know, but it's stunning, don't you think? I really like it. Recommended yarn, I'll be just now butchering, Giestal, Adore, Tristle Garn, Aventer, or Tristle Garn Peru. Have you knitted with those yarns? Let me know, how do you like it? And we have this men's Reindeer Cardigan. However, go to the project page and see how beautiful it looks on a woman too. And we're moving into DK weight yarn, and that's what is recommended. The yarn over here is Rowan Felted Tweed. Oh, sounds stunning. Felted tweed. tweed. I love tweed. If you don't know what the tweed yarn is, so you have a strand of yarn and it's, let's say, one color, but you have a little bit of something there going on, like, let's say, whites, like small snowballs things, you know, and it looks so amazing. It kind of gives you a vintage vibe, I would say. And as you can see, the photo is amazing, and I was wondering, like, oh yeah, okay, how does it look? So I went to projects and actually it looks good. So that's right. And we have sizes 40 to 50 inches. I presume that relates to chest. Gauge 26.5 stitches per 10. And this is something that I'm wondering how on earth it's possible. Because DK to weight yarn normally tells you to have maybe 20 stitches, and they say 26.5. If you follow my thought in regard to my gauge, 24 stitches for me is like 3.5 millimeters, and I'm getting that on fingering weight yarn. So with a DK weight yarn to hit even tighter, so 26.5, it has to be very dense. I hope I'm saying it right. Dense, like very compact cardigan, not loose, which kind of makes sense, to be honest, for guys. They rough, so dense, not so loose. Maybe that's an idea. Have you ever knitted with rowan felted tweed? And do you have that thought? Because the recommended needles are 3.25 to 3.75 millimeters, sorry. And oh, no way, Jose. Like maybe 3.25 millimeters. Would I get 26.5 with a DK? I'm interested what kind of yardage that yarn has, just to be sure. Not every DK yarn has the same yardage. Not every fingering weight yarn will have the same yardage. So on the ball band, you have information about yards or meters, depends. Some yarns would have both, and if you go more to America, you will have yardage, and if you go more to Europe, some only will have meters. Google Converter, you'll know then. Do you like this? Yeah, I'm definitely telling you, check the project page for people knitting it. It's a beautiful cropped cardi knitted by one lady, and it's just stunning on her. And then another one, I'm not sure how I have a team for guys over here, but we have Tilt, and it also says DK, but this time we have 23 stitches in 100 centimeters, and this is also recommended by Rowan. And we have felted tweed, we have Pure Life Reville, we have Summer Sprung, you have Soft Yak DK, sorry, Cashmere Tweed, all Rowan. And this time they also recommend you a size 3.25 millimeter needles, but to get gauge 23 stitches, which is kind of unusual, because if you get the same yarn and you take one size of needles and the previous pattern in 3.25, I'm sorry, no. They recommend smaller size the same. However, check the gauge. I'm just checking it. They say that the gauge was knitted in the larger knitting needles. So with Rowan, apparently with felted tweed for the first pattern, previous pattern that I showed you, 26.5 stitches, they got on you a size 5, which is 3.75 millimeter needles. And now they want you to take the same yarn and try you a size 6, which is 4 millimeter knitting needles, and get the gauge of 23 stitches. So they reckon that you're going to get 3.5 stitches less with just changing needles to a different size. But do you like the pattern? You may not see it perfectly. I would say also go to project page for people knitted, because they use more tonal yarn color, because you can see the background over here of this is just one kind of I want to say pale yellow. I see yellow over there, but it's very kind of, oh, I don't know how to say the color, very delicate, like, I don't know, hard for me to say. But the contrast color, the one that you see the design with, is variegated. So they have different colors. You can see red, blues, and so on, so on. The photo's not the greatest, to be honest, but hopefully I'm getting it better over here. And the pattern is knitted bottom up. And let's move on to the next one. And the next one over here is 217/18 Love Links Jacket by Drops Design. And this is knitted, I presume, top down. Yes, they recommend yarn DK and they're getting gauge 21 stitches, which would be something for me understandable in regards when someone suggests DK to get that 21 stitches. But I'm just saying that because you're getting kind of not too tight, not to lose stitch definition, let's say that way. So I presume the Rowan designs for especially men's, they want to have them more compact. That's why they're going with slightly lower. I know I'm saying lower. Start a bit more than 20 stitches. So they need to compact more stitches in the same space. With the 21, we're getting less stitches in the same space. So the fabric is not so dense. And I really like that. And you probably, this is why I chose this thing, probably because browns. And what else over here? Top down sweater, and it is knitted, I think, flat, yes, so you don't stick it. So in case you change your mind afterwards, you can frog it and there won't be any harm. When we're sticking, we're knitting in around and then we're cutting, and then that cutting means that that's it, the job was done. And if you want to change your mind, there's no going back. And I think knitting is all about, like, you can reuse, recycle the same yarn if you would want to. I think that's the most fun. And the sizes over here, did I mention sizes for the previous one? We have 38 to 50 inches for the tilt. And then let's go back to this one. We have extra small to double extra larges. And I think it's really nice, it's cute. And they're getting 21 stitches with DK weight yarn using larger knitting needles over here. They recommend you a size 6, which is 4mm, which that would be for a DK yarn first thought of knitting needles when you're thinking of knitting anything with a DK weight yarn. You a size 6, 4mm. But as you can see, it depends what kind of fabric you want to get. Let's move on, and we have Gilet Marlène, and this is quite unique, and I thought, wow. So we have over here worsted, and for worsted they also claim 20 stitches for a gauge, and they recommend you to get it, well, they not recommend you to get it smaller or bigger size, but they're giving you two options, either you're a size 6 or a size 4, which is 4mm or 3.5mm knitting needles. So with worsted, that's another kind of thicker yarn than DK slightly. So getting 20 could be for me, you a size 4, 3.5mm to get 20 stitches. Yeah, it depends what kind of yarn it is. And yardage itself that yarn has. So it is bottom up and it's stunning. It's knitted flat, so you're not sticking anything. So if you don't like it after a year, you can just reknit and make something new. So cool. Move on. Do you see this? I think it's N032012. It's Oravala cardigan. It is with Aran weight yarn. So some people say worsted and Aran is quite the same. I'm not sure. What's the main thing is over here that we're definitely going into a thicker yarn is the gauge they want us to get, and they want us to get 17 stitches using Aran, and they recommend 2 sizes of knitting needles. So I presume on the bigger sizes we're going US size 10, which is 6mm to get that. So this is very, I would say, beginner friendly. However, you will need loads of yarn to knit this sweater. So budget, not beginner friendly. What else I can say? It's bottom up. And I love the colors, that green and that white, you know, the forest, nature. Oh, love it. Squirrels. Cute. And it's work flat, so we're not sticking. The same story. You knit it, use it one season, and then you can frog it and make something else. And the last one, 10 ones on the screen. And the last, it's Streymoy. Streymoy, and over here we're going into the bulky yarn, so it's very thick one, but they want us to get 20 stitches on it. So I explained that to you. 20 stitches, you think DK weight, but we're going with bulky, so we're going to get very dense fabric. You can see a guy on the photo, so probably that's what they were going for. Guys probably want something that they grab, they're not going to rip it. They recommend the needles 2 sizes, but obviously probably the larger size is the gauge. So US size 10.5, which is 6.5 millimeter needles, but also prepare yourself, you need to have US size 7, 4.5 millimeter needles, just smaller. Probably for the cuffs, for the ribbing on the bottom too. And this is knitted from perspective of reading on the Ravelry, I couldn't say, but I clicked on the photo, enlarged it, and I see the V stitches, and I think I wrote it down that it is bottom up. Let me check. Yes, I did that. So yeah, even though we're using bulky, we still want to get 20 stitches, which, you know, within 20 stitches would be DK weight yarn with US size 6 with 4 millimeter needles. Over here we have bulky yarn with US size 10.5, 6.5 millimeter needles. Interesting how they're getting that. So recommended yarn in Cascade Yarns ecological wool. Well, have you knitted with that? That would be interesting to check. Sorry, but I will never get 20 stitches with bulky yarn and 4.5, 6.5 millimeter needles. Like US size 7, US size 10.5. If you know how, if you're an advanced knitter, please explain to us how they're getting it down below. There has to be something with the yarn, something special with that yarn. Maybe it's bulky, but it's very kind of fluffy. When you start knitting with it, it kind of contracts. But then you see, you check the gauge on the actual sample. So someone has to be very tight knitter, or I don't know. Okay, well, the design is amazing, and definitely go and check project page for that design. There are a few, but yes, you can definitely make it the way they made it. I hope you enjoy this one. Hopefully you didn't bother me talking for too long, and let me know which one is your favorite. Let me know what kind of color work sweater have you knitted lately, or maybe you're dream knitting like me and just going through the lists of the knitting patterns that you want to make. Let us know down below. And also let me know, have you ever sticked a sweater, and what do you think about that from perspective of I don't know, you do it because it's really handy and you don't mind the yarn, or like me, I'm hesitant because I always think that I would want to reuse the things that I'm wearing. So especially with knitting things, that's the best thing about knitting. You can always frog it, not with sticking. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this one. See you next one. Bye. Oh.